Welcome to another episode of the Finest Hour podcast, where we celebrate the moments that define success. My guest today is John Stone.
Hi.
John is the managing director of the Frederick Cooper based in Birmingham.
Yep.
And it's a leading wet paint spraying and powder coating business in the UK. But please tell me just quickly a little bit more about Frederick Cooper.
Yeah, sure. Well, don't know about leading in the UK, but you know we're pretty good. So we've got about 175 people, 2 factories in Birmingham, turnover maybe pushing £10 million this year. Wet paint spray is probably 75% of our business, and that's mainly for the automotive industry, but medical, point of sale, anything that could be painted really. Powder coating we do as well, a little bit more industrial, but we tend to sort of take on more difficult, challenging projects, lots of masking, lots of complication, lots of projects that other people don't like to do, and we're good at problem solving. So yeah, we've got an interesting business that we've built up over the years.
Thank you very much for that intro. And I've visited your place. It's a beautiful, beautiful factory, very diverse workforce, and some really cool things that you do. But we're going to get to that in a second. And you've been with Frederick Cooper for impressive 26 years. And the last 2 years in the top job of the managing director. Is that right?
Yes, 2 years or so as MD. Been a director since 2003, mainly in the sales role. But yeah, joined in January 1997, so a long time ago, and a very different business in those days. So yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think I've said that on social media. You know, I think patience is your virtue, and loyalty as well to the company. And we're gonna now talk about the last 2 years, because in those 2 years you've really took this business to a new heights. Because when we spoke, and you calculated that in front of me very quickly, you increased the productivity by 25%.
Yeah, about that level. I mean, so in that time, the company's been very, very well run. My predecessor's done a brilliant job as managing director over the years, and he ran the business for a long time, allowed me to concentrate on the sales, and we worked really well as a team. A couple of years ago, it was time for him to step away, and I was able to step up into that role. And we were then facing new challenges. Really, we were coming out of the back of the COVID pandemic. We'd had a sort of change in headcount, like a lot of people. You know, the car factories had shut down for 8 weeks. We were at one point we only had sort of 10 out of 180 people in the factory working on ventilator stuff.
Yeah, tough times for everybody.
Very tough times. We didn't know what the future held at that point, but we built ourselves back up that summer and through the autumn, reshaped things. I started to build the sales up, but then I took over as MD, and then sort of I spent the next year kind of setting up the company as I wanted it to be, sort of underneath me, organising my sort of senior leadership team around me, and a bit of reorganisation, and then we sort of hit all the challenges with the war in Ukraine and energy prices going up, raw material prices going up. At the same time,
perfect storm.
Yeah, well, minimum wage went up, I think 6.5% year before last. It's just gone up another 10% this year. So you've got wages, you've got energy bills, you've got raw materials, just everything. You know, customers may be expecting some price rises, but you've got to keep that to a minimum. So yeah, it was a real interesting time to take over the ship, really. So
let's look at some of your background, because by trade you are an accountant, right? You've done an accounting degree many years ago, and then you did 1 year in Rover. But why? How did you end up studying accountancy, and how did you end up in industrial environment after that?
So interesting story, really. I wouldn't say I'm an accountant by trade. I did an accounting degree.
Yeah.
2 different things. So I don't, if I go right back to school, I've done quite well at GCSEs, got some A's, but kind of in maths and the sciences and stuff like that. So I thought physics, maths and chemistry for A-levels. That was a mistake, not really a scientist.
Okay.
And, you know, the step up from GCSEs to A-levels was, you know, so speaking to the careers officer at school, what do I do for a degree? And the recommendations were either accountant or weatherman.
Okay.
With hindsight, I think weatherman. I think I'd have been a good weatherman. I could have, you know, I could be doing that, I reckon. But yeah, did a degree in accounting. Had a great time at university. Got an okay degree, but knew accounting wasn't going to be the way forward.
I bet you had a good time though, yeah?
Had a very good time.
I
Yeah,
can, I
that was
can
good.
imagine.
So in the summer holidays, I worked in our local pub at home. But I think that was important in my development. Whilst I was, kind of pulling pints and maybe serving people food, I found that I wanted to look after people and give good customer service. And maybe go that extra mile a little bit. So I think that's always shone through in whatever I did or whatever I ended up in. And I think I ended up a little bit at Rover by chance, and certainly a little bit of luck and chance ending up at Frederick Cooper. But wherever I'd ended up, I think I'd have always gone the customer service route, and whether I was selling painted parts or furniture or cars or whatever it was, I'd have always looked after my customers, and and I think that loyalty thing is in there somewhere as well. So yeah, that's always been a big part of me, really. So
in terms of your background, do you think this background given you this unique sort of position to take over as a managing director? Because you've got the finance, you've got the sales. So how is it helping you today?
Yeah, I think I've got some basic financial knowledge, which is always going to be a help. I know the business inside out, having been there for so long, and I think the sales has kind of grown the company over the years. So kind of certainly it's been a sales-led company for a long time, and we're a projects-based business. So if we bring in a new project, hopefully if it's automotive, it might last 3, 5, 7 years. So it's all about the projects and the next projects coming through, and we can hopefully plan. And we like to have a pipeline of projects coming through. So it's a very, very sales-led business. So coming from the sales side into the managing director role is quite natural. So I've got a sort of a natural affinity still with the sales side of the business, but I've had to let that go.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a second. Before we go there, tell me about the numbers. So when you first joined the company, where it is today, and about this 25% productivity gain. Just run me through that.
Yeah, so I mean, when I first joined the company, I wasn't that close to the numbers then, but we were. You'd measure our turnover in hundreds of thousands, not millions really. And I remember early days we probably had sort of 25 to 30, 35 people, that sort of level. And but we were doing a lot of volume. We did high volume, low value parts in those days. So we might have even painted more parts in those days with 35 people than we do now. We'd paint millions of components a year at 5, 6p each, whereas we paint thousands of components at pounds per item these days. So it's a real different business model. But yeah, the productivity journey, I guess, since I've taken over as MD, I say we're in a good place. The company has been very well run, but with all these cost pressures, we had to up our game even further, really. And we looked at it. If you sort of take yourself back 18 months or so ago, there was a lot of difficulty in recruiting people.
Yes, everybody's experiencing that in every sector, and especially, I think, manufacturing and engineering. Yeah,
and then finding trained people was difficult. So I think one of the key areas that we decided to look at was training our own people from scratch. So we've put a lot of effort over the last 18 months, 2 years now, into bringing in untrained, fresh people into the business. Sort of assessing people on entry into the business and working out who's going to be good at masking, spraying, polishing, and then putting the focus into training them ourselves. So we pulled one of our key people, one of our key shop floor supervisor managers off the shop floor, who's really good at organising,
and he really stepped up to this role. So shout out to him. Kudos.
Big shout out to Aaron. So it was brilliant. So we talked about the role with him, and sort of over that weekend he came back with a plan of.
Yeah, that's what you want to see really from people. And engaged and interested in the business.
And really went for it. And we've upped our game in spraying training, polishing training. But it's been good for the business and good for the employees as well. So they can see a plan now. They can come in, be taught how to spray, and they can see there's different levels of spraying now that you can go through, and you become a level 1, level 2, level 3 sprayer. And there's almost a career path now and chance for progression and that sort of thing. And it's, as I say, it's good.
Yeah, it's like an academy, almost academy. That's where you bring people in. And I've seen, young people. I've seen really amazing, diverse workforce at Frederick Cooper.
And that's absolutely the route that we tried to go. And on one hand, we've now brought in apprentices as well, and we've just taken a new cohort on in April. So I think we're up to 8 apprentices now. which,
But you also heavily invested into the facilities, because obviously you've upped your game in terms of the way the actual place looks, right?
Yeah,
It's impressive.
Yeah, so we try to, again, look after the staff as much as we can. We've invested in, the basics really. The toilets weren't great at our factory, but we spent a lot of money on the ladies and the gents toilets, and they're better than my bathroom at home now. It's something we can be really proud of and show off. But the same with our
neon sign. I walked in, I was like, there's a neon sign in this factory.
Yeah. We put a new canteen in for the guys, and that's been really well received. It looks great. It's clean, bright, and airy.
Yeah.
We're going to get air conditioning in there this summer. So
you've learned from the last summer, the heights.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can get warm in our factory in the summer with ovens on and paint spraying and powder coating. So we're hoping to create an area where people can go and literally chill out. Over their lunch break and that sort of thing. But so we're trying to do more to look after the team.
And basically. I think the next thing you said is there like a barbecue area or something at the back?
Yeah, we made a little garden.
Make sure I get the invite when that's open, right?
No, it needs a bit of work still. We're working on that. But we so the last year or two, we have a sort of summer shutdown still, generally speaking, and the kind of the last Friday before that, we'll have a bit of a barbecue on site and a couple of beers and bit of music maybe and that sort of thing. And what's really nice is that spawned people doing more social stuff together, and they might go out for more drinks afterwards, or and we're doing more and more social stuff together. So
through that culture, you think that's what basically contributed hugely to that spark in productivity?
I think so. There's lots of different things. I think it's not one big thing. I think it's lots of little things that we've done. So we've got a really good team. We've got a really good team of managers, and it's everyone. We're a people business, and it's got to come from everyone in the business. And hopefully, what I've done is trying to get everyone working in the same direction and pull in the same way, really.
So let's talk about your finest style moment, which I think is the moment when you took over as the MD. And after 24 years, you was given this opportunity for the top job and put your own stamp on company's direction. What are the main challenges that you faced transitioning? Because it is a transition into a different role. Completely. You are the leader. So there's some things you have to let go. Some things you have to do different, right? Otherwise it would be just the same job, right?
Absolutely. Letting go, that was an interesting one, because I really, the sales side of the business, any new inquiries coming into the business, that's me all over. Right, I'm going to show this customer how good we are, let's look after them, get straight back on the phone to them and all this sort of stuff. And that was really hard to let go. But so one of the big things I did was sort of reorganize the team around me, and I sort of boosted up the sales and new projects team, so that we've resourced up really well now to look at that side of things. But that took a while, but mainly took a while because I wouldn't let go. Okay. So I'd still be copied in on new inquiries, and then I'd jump in and start ringing them up and answer them when I knew I needed to leave it to other people. So that took a little bit of time, and I probably frustrated some of the guys in the sales team at that point, but I'm nearly there now. I think I've just
so
about
what helped you? How did you what was the moment when you say, okay, I'm going to let go? Did somebody tell you? Did you realize that so you can free yourself up to do other MD things?
Yeah, a bit of both. A bit of realization that I'd got to do that, and I think having trust in the people around you as well has been a big part. So that's part of what we're trying to do at the moment, is really trust and empower the senior leadership team at Frederick Cooper, and then, which I've really set up. I'm really pleased with the team that we've got, and then we want to try and filter that down the organisation as well, so that they're trusting their people to make the right decisions, and we can get on with more. Then you can cover more ground if people aren't coming to you all the time to check small details that they probably know, but they're coming to you just for reassurance. So that's been good. So we're working on that at the moment. But it's
so have you fully let go yet, or?
I'm definitely getting there. Luke would probably say not quite, but I'm trying really hard. But one of the mantras that so I do a bit of leadership coaching. I get coached maybe once a month with a really good group that I'm involved with, and that's really useful. And one of the main things I've picked up as transition from sales director to managing director is, your job isn't to work in the business, it's to work on the business. So I can't worry about that inquiry that's coming in today and where that might lead.
You never have the time to grow the business if you just do the job.
I've got to look at where the business needs to be in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years' time, I've got to think about, is the factory big enough? Do we need a new factory? Have we got enough booths? What needs, what maintenance needs doing? What, we've got to change our pre-treatment line over the next year, 18 months. So, I've got to be looking at things like that, or making sure that sort of side of things is covered. So I've got to look at each area of the business and make sure it's covered, or take the business forward rather than actually doing stuff on a day to day. And
but you actually have been, and I think you just, because obviously you've achieved so much in just 2 years. So I think it's just a small detail now. And then we're just going to see the next level once you fully let go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've achieved so much, John.
And well, we've achieved so much, I think.
Yes,
because
you have as a team.
Yeah, as a team, because, hopefully I've helped enable that. But I'm not the one that's actually done it. The guys around me are the ones that have actually delivered it.
Yeah.
But hopefully we've sort of created an environment where they're up for the challenge and doing
There's
it.
There's another thing actually you mentioned to me. It was around Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. So that had to change a little bit, or?
Yeah, definitely, and that's come up in my sort
because
of
you are such a
training
great guy. We always have laughs, and and you're so nice to be around. But sometimes,
I've got to get Mr. Nasty out a bit more often.
Yeah,
sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? I don't know about that. But I've had to learn to be sort of tougher in certain situations and be a little bit more direct and tell it as it is. Sometimes, and and I think
it doesn't come to you naturally, does it? And then,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. But I've learned to sort of find that within me, I think, and and I've always played a lot of sport, and rugby's helped me in that. I think sometimes, again, I've always enjoyed my rugby and played with a smile on my face. But when I need to, I've got that bit of grit in there as well. So the determination's there, that's for sure.
That's interesting. So the sports angle helped you to get that side out.
Yeah. The sports angle's been a big influence on my career, and a big influence on Frederick Cooper. We've recruited a lot of people from sports clubs, rugby clubs in particular, because we like the kind of people that you get. And
that's interesting. So how do you do that? You just recruit people from a rugby club. How do you do that?
Yeah. It's quite often. So
do you sponsor these guys as well?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but it's more about if you're playing rugby with someone, you're sort of your body's and you're just trusting them to help you. Sometimes you take the ball in, you're not doing it on your own. You're relying on two guys coming to ruck over you and what have you. So you've got to work as a team. And I think you can see the guys on the rugby pitch who are team players, and we'd rather take people who are going to fit in with our team and teach them about paint spraying and powder coating to a certain extent, more than have people who know powder coating and paint spraying inside out and get them.
That's interesting. So through sport, you actually can see if somebody's a good team player. Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. It's been really key part to our success, I think.
Wow, that's a new strategy I've learned today. And in terms of, I always ask this to all of our Finest Hour podcast guests. Where do you take your inspiration from, John? To keep going, to get the energy to, achieve things? Yeah,
well, people-wise, a lot of inspirational characters over the years. I wouldn't say one in particular, because time moves on very quickly and you soon forget. But, on the sporting side, rugby is a big part of my life. Martin Johnson, when we won the Rugby World Cup 2003, for me, he was never the best rugby player in the world. He's a big lump, but we wouldn't have won that World Cup without him, without his leadership and his drive and his motivation and that side of things. So I think he's brilliant. In business, I think in recent times, especially locally to us, Ben Francis, Gymshark, I think he's proved that, what you can do if you surround yourself with people who are maybe better and more talented than yourself, and have the right philosophy and the right mindset to grow a business and go for it. I think he's been brilliant. I'm Solihull born and bred. Gymshark's in Solihull. I'm sort of really proud of that fact, really. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Another one in Birmingham is Andy Street. I think he's fantastic for the West Midlands, and I think he does a lot for manufacturing, and I think there's a lot more to come from him as well. So I sort of watch what he does very closely on, LinkedIn and Twitter and things like that. So I think he's brilliant. And then, again, sort of going back to mindset. Mindset's such an important thing. I'm not a big cricket fan in the world of sport, but what the England cricket team have done in the last year, just with a change of attitude and being fearless, I think that's really important. And kind of we've sort of embraced that at Frederick Cooper. I think we're kind of fearless. We're not afraid to lose work. We're a subcontractor. we don't expect to win every job that we're involved with, and ultimately it means we're not chasing jobs down to the last penny on price and things like that.
You look at the pounds here, right?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent, but yeah, we try not to waste our time, and and then just work on the projects that we want to work, that I think will be good for us and good for our customers, and where we can deliver that value, really. So yeah.
So just the last few words, perhaps, on any thoughts or advice to listeners who are aspiring business leaders and looking to achieve their own finest hour moments, from you, John.
Yeah, sure. So I would say, especially for the younger people starting out in your career, you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to go for it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You've got to have that right mindset. You've got to take yourself out of your comfort zone and just go for it.
What about patience?
Yeah, patience. Patience I think is good,
because I think it's lacking nowadays. Everybody wants everything quick.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you can't come into a job and expect to be managing director in 5 years. All the time. Really, you've got to earn your stripes, really, and be patient, and don't expect to do one good thing and be rewarded for it. Show that consistency. Go above and beyond once, twice, every week, every day, and that will be rewarded eventually, because it will be seen, and that's you've got to have that right mindset and build around it that way. And I think another sporting analogy I would say is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So
that's a good one too.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone's brighter and more intelligent at you, if they're lazy and sat behind the desk and you're out there doing it, then you'll take them over just through experience. Absolutely. So yeah, just go for it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Fantastic. Thank you very much, John. It was really inspiring to learn about your transition from your role as the sales director, 24 years, into MD, and all the amazing stuff that you're doing at Frederick Cooper. I would like to congratulate you and the team, and I really look forward to seeing where it takes you, because I think that story obviously continues, and there's many years ahead of great things that you and the team will achieve together. Thank you very much. It's going to be an interesting journey the next couple of years, and thank you for today. I've really enjoyed the chance to sort of share that journey with you. Fantastic. Thank you for coming to the podcast, and for your great contribution to the industry and people around you, because you are also, involved in the community in various projects. It's always great to see what you do. Love following you on all the socials. Always something interesting coming up from your side. Yeah. Some people say I might overdo it a bit, but you just got to put yourself out there, haven't you? So, yeah. Exactly. Brilliant. So thank you for watching this episode of the Finest Hour podcast. I hope you enjoyed John's story as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share to help other people achieve their finest hour. Thank you and goodbye.